It was a very busy weekend as far as action was concerned. There were some major events all on Saturday. Saturday was a very, very busy day. If you're a fan of multiple forms of combat sports, like I am, if you're in that middle of the Venn diagram with the three circles, you were. I mean, it was busy from pretty much like 2 p.m. to midnight, or maybe even past midnight, 12:30. It was very busy. We started things off with the boxer card at Selhurst Park. Shout out to Ben Whitaker with the great entrance, one of my favorites of the year. I know the performance didn't wow many people, and there's some talk about his power or lack thereof, but he remains undefeated. And it was a great scene over there. You know, a soccer stadium show isn't easy to pull off, and maybe in retrospect they should have put it in a actual arena because it was not full. But kudos on the effort, and the entrance was fantastic. He came out to Over by Drake, but he had like a whole freaking orchestra playing it on the violin. It was incredible. It was amazing. By far my favorite walkout of the year so far in any combat. Well, in MMA and boxing. Wrestling is a whole other category. Chris Smith, Richard Riakpor, we had them on the show on Wednesday. CBS retained his WBO cruiserweight title. So you had that. At the same time, you had Clash at the Castle in Scotland featuring the return of CM Punk. He screws Drew McIntyre. Damian Priest retains. Insanely hot crowd. They are on fire with these European shows and these international PLEs. So that was happening at the same time. I was at my son's soccer tournament trying to keep up with it all. Then we moved on to UFC was happening at the same time as a DAZN boxing card. UFC at the Apex, headlined by Tatsuro Taira against Alex Perez. It ends with a Taira win in the second round. He's on Perez's back. The weight of Taira on his back, trying to bring him down. I saw some people saying, you know, Perez should have brought him up into the cage and used that leverage to get him off, or at least to alleviate some of the pressure. That did not happen. Seemed to blow out his knee. Unfortunate. But I don't view that in the same light as the, say, Tom Aspinall, Curtis Blade situation, because that was just a freak accident. This particular injury happened because of Taira on his back. Now, did he try to do that? I don't think so. But it happened because he was, you know, draped all over him. So a little bit different in that regard. Still not the cleanest finish, but Taira wins after losing the first round on the judges' scorecard. Subriel Matias loses in Puerto Rico to Liam Paru. Big win for Paru on the road. This was supposed to be a huge show for Matchroom, and Matias doesn't get it done. At the same time of all of this, Chael Sonnen and Anderson Silva take part in what was closer to ballroom dancing than it was actual fighting. Much love to both legends, but I wish they would have told us beforehand that this was going to be like pretty much like a capoeira dance. I'm all psyched. Everyone's all locked in. We're trying to figure out how to watch this thing. And all of a sudden, it's like me and my kids play fighting. It's like them going like this, like da na 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 da da na. I'm like, what is going on here? Like the first 10 seconds, I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, this was more of a work than Floyd Mayweather versus Paul White at WrestleMania. I mean, this was shades of Mr. T against Roddy Piper at WrestleMania 2. I had no idea that. I actually thought it was going to be a real fight, an exhibition, but a real fight. This was not a real fight. But God bless. I hope they got paid a lot. And it seems like Chael really wants the Jorge Masvidal fight, and I suspect that would be real. So let's see. But it was great. And the good news is it ended in a draw, so Chael's still undefeated and undisputed. And then it ended with Tank Davis knocking Frank Martin out into another dimension with a vicious left hand in the eighth. Started off very slow and then got it done. And he predicted it. He predicted that he would win in the eighth, and he got it done. So Tank Davis is back. Let's see where he goes from here. That was all on Saturday. That was all between the hours of like 2 p.m. and 12:30 a.m. Eastern time. So it was a very, very busy Saturday. But of course, everything really happened on Thursday. And so let us talk about Thursday. Oh, by the way, before I get to Thursday during the day, we had the PFL event on Thursday night, which was the one that Dakota Cheva won on. And then even this morning, we got a a breaking news tweet, if you will, from Israel Adesanya himself. Essentially, it seemed like he was announcing the GDP fight in Perth, August 16th here in America, 17th in Australia, with a great poster and a great tweet. I do believe we have it. I liked it. Yeah. Stole the shine, never lost mine. Look at this. It's great stuff. I think more fighters should announce their fights. The UFC hasn't officially announced it. This seems to be the worst kept secret in MMA, in the sport. I like this. Taking things into his own hands. I would read that, but I can't see it. It's too far. You know who put that together for us? Oh, there it is. Yeah, no, I still can't see it.
Should I read it to you?
Yeah, go ahead.
The sun of Africa is the same sun that lights up on our planet.
No,
the sun will
you added an in. It just lights up our planet.
Somebody was talking. How would you know if you can't see it?
They put
the sun will set and will rise again until you walk into it. The sun, enjoy while it shines. Darkness falls when it's gone.
You like that?
Yeah, it's very. It feels good on the tongue.
Yeah.
You should try it.
No, I like it. I like that he made the gloves gold.
Yeah, shout out.
See that?
One thing a critique though.
Yeah.
The never is so white, and the background is just a little off-white. That at certain angles, I can't see anything other than EV. And I was like, is he saying evil? That's interesting.
Wow, that's weird.
That was my 2 cents.
Nah, I think it's cool. I dig it. By the way, I mentioned Rick's back. The gang's all here, but we are missing one member of the gang. He is now joining us from the Peach State. He is the man who put the G in GC. Is he there he is. Wow.
Yeah. Now it's really here. Now I'm actually boots on the ground in Georgia.
Wow. What is it like?
It's great, man. It got up to 98 degrees on Saturday. It's hot. It's humid.
You wearing short sleeve shirts too?
Yeah. I mean, I always wear short sleeve shirts.
That's true.
Still got the pants on though, despite me being home. It's pants. No shoes though.
Wow,
no shoes. Just put the pigs out on air. Should not have done that. But no shoes.
I like the fact that there's no shoes on right now, but no socks as well is what's interesting.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Yeah. Put the toes out on air. That's
cool.
I gotta charge for that.
People pay good money for that. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I gotta start charging for it. But I mean, it's nice. It's nice.
And what are the vibes? What are the vibes? A lot of peaches. What are we?
Yeah, peaches everywhere, dude. That's how it got its name. My parents have a couple peach trees in their backyard. Every street I drive on is called Peachtree Street. I mean, it's great. It's living up to its name.
And as far as the vibes of Team Canada coming to town on Thursday, what are they?
Yeah, we can't wait. We can't wait. A lot of Canadians down here. No love at all for Argentina.
Yeah.
People can feel the upset coming. I mean, it's a no-brainer. I'll be there. Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Are you going to be there?
Supporting the Maple Leafs.
If I
maybe.
I buy you a ticket, will you be there in full Canadian regalia?
I will wear a full denim tuxedo. Let's check the weather for Thursday. A high of 94 on Thursday.
No, it's indoors.
Isn't it indoors? Denim. Yeah, but I still got to get to the stadium.
Sure.
I mean, you got to walk out in that sun. I mean, the sun stays up till like 9 o'clock here. It feels like I'm in a different country. It's great.
Love it. All right. Well, the connection is good. We're all good.
I mean, the internet is just zooming here. Should have been doing this the whole time, you know?
Yeah. No. You just stay there. No need to ever come back. Can we get a shot at Can we get a shot at Connor's chair?
Oh man.
Oh, okay. We don't have it. You see, they unplugged your camera. They unplugged your camera.
Yeah. I actually saw him taking down the decorations earlier. It's as if I'm not even there.
I put an ottoman over there in case I want to stretch out.
I'm going to improve this setup. It's gonna feel like I'm right at home, even though I mean I actually am at home right now.
Yes. All right. Well, we look forward to that, and it is good to have everyone sort of back on the program. So let us talk about Thursday. Well, actually, you know what? Let's talk about Wednesday. Let's talk about me coming on the show and giving you sort of the last string of updates, but there were more to come on Thursday regarding UFC 303. And now that I think about it a little more, let's actually start on the Monday after 301. Let's do this the right way. Whoops, as I knock over my Canadian flag. Let's do this the right way. So UFC 302 happens, I think I said 303 there. 302 happens on June 1st in Newark. I'm going to tell you everything now. I'm going to tell you everything now because there were a lot of people that wanted to claim that we didn't know what we were talking about. And this isn't going to be a victory lap, if you will, but there are a few things that we need to discuss as it pertains to this massive piece of news. So it happens on Saturday, 3:02. Wake up Sunday. Get a text around 10 a.m. Told that the press conference in Dublin, scheduled for the next day, June 3rd, 5 p.m. local time, 12 Eastern time, is very much in doubt, that they are considering canceling it. Interesting. Start poking around, and there seems to be some merit to this. Find out that Michael Chandler hasn't left. He was en route to leaving. He was en route to going to the airport, but he had not left yet, and he was standing by, him and his team. A couple hours later, find out they are not going. The whole thing's been called off. So obviously, that seems significant. They had distributed around 10,000 tickets. This was a big deal. 3 Arena, Conor's first press conference back in Dublin since 2015. Aldo fight. Start to ask around as to why this is being canceled. There could be a litany of reasons as to why this is being canceled. And I find out that he sustained an injury about 12 to 15 hours prior. Now, when I was told this from very good sources, they said, when you talk about this, the injury part is off the record. Why is it off the record? Because we're expecting to fight. The fight wasn't off. We're expecting to fight on June 29th. We don't want the news out there that he is hurt because we know that, if the opponent finds out about this, he is going to target it, as he should, fair game. We're also coming off a very serious leg injury. There's enough. So we don't want this out there. Have to respect that. I talked about this on Wednesday, and there was a reason I talked about it on Wednesday because I knew eventually this was going to come out, and I wanted I wanted all of you to understand why that detail was not being reported. This is different than the NBA. Like when Kristaps Porzingis gets injured, the team has to put out the information. They have to put out the injury, his status, etc. It's not the same in the fight game. No one has to put out anything. It's a completely different set of rules. So I come on the show on Monday. Now the press conference has been canceled, and I talk about the fact that it wasn't a legal issue, it wasn't a contract issue, it wasn't a drugs or alcohol issue, it wasn't a personal issue. I went through the whole list. The one thing I didn't say was injury. I tried to serve it up for you guys. Alley-ooped it. Even DJ came on. He's like, you didn't mention injury. I was like, no. If you go back to that, I was like, I didn't say all that you're saying I said. And I repeated this over and over again. Now, to be fair, a lot of people did, pick up what I was saying, but a lot of people didn't. Oh, so basically you know nothing. Oh, really? You have to listen. I try to dance around this as much as possible. Now, in a perfect world, I don't have to do that. But when you're told something off the record, you have to respect that. Because at that point, while there was anxiety, while there was trepidation, while there was some doubt about the injury and how it would affect the actual fight on June 29th, the hope was that he would remain and just kind of get through it. And so I mentioned on that show that a little bit of fear, but there's hope. During the show, he tweeted. And what did I say when he tweeted? What did I say? No mention of June 29th. That to me was the first red flag. Or maybe the second, the first being the press conference has been canceled. No mention of June 29th. He said, I can't wait to see, for you all to see me back in the octagon. If he was 1,000% in at that point, he would have said on June 29th. There was no mention of that. All right. So we stay on the story. On Tuesday, I tweet that feelers are being sent out for a replacement. Now, the issue was there weren't a ton of options. The best option off the bat back then, we're talking 2 Tuesdays ago, was Yuri Prochazka against Alex Pereira 2. That's the first time that they reached out to those guys. To his credit, Yuri was in off the jump, despite the short notice. Alex is coming off 2 injured toes, 2 broken toes, and was in Australia on a bit of a seminar / media tour / vacation. He was in Australia. So the initial feeling was the timing just isn't great here. Now, they had reached out to DDP. That could have been a thing. But Yuri and Alex was a fight that was talked about for Perth, as was DDP versus Izzy. Never really reached out to Sean Strickland to fight a DDP, or Izzy DDP didn't make a lot of sense. I know Alex Volkanovski raised his hand. I was told that. He said he would be willing to fight someone. I know they sent out a feeler to Max Holloway about a potential BMF fight. He's on vacation, not available. It's tough. So they were throwing out these feelers, just hoping to have something on standby in case everything took a left turn and he was really out. By Wednesday, and really by Tuesday night, but I said it on Wednesday's show, there was great optimism, like I said, and they were feeling like all systems were a go. They said this to Chandler. They said this to his team. Conor's team felt the same. Everyone felt like this would be manageable. He would get well. He would overcome it, and he'd be able to fight on June 29th. Now, I can understand why maybe some fans or some newer fans would be like, what's this up and down stuff going on? How could it be like maybe off and then feelers and then he's in? What's going on? Well, hopefully now you understand when there's an injury involved, there's good days and bad days. You know, I'm a huge basketball fan, and OG Anunoby had a groin issue, and then one day it's like, oh, he's looking good, and then he's not looking good, and then he's going to give it a go, and then he's not going to give it a go, and then he actually plays, and he can't move. That's the body. That's sports. That's how this goes. And so now you understand why there was talk of, okay, we're feeling good, we're not feeling good, we're feeling good. That wasn't me speculating. That wasn't me making shit up. That was me talking to people in the know, same people I've been talking to my entire career, the same way I have been talking to people my entire career. Develop sources, develop relationships. People pick up the phone. That's how this works. That is called journalism. I know, foreign concept in today's day and age where everyone just has a say on things and makes shit up. But I don't like to talk about things unless I talk to the people in the know. And so that's what I was doing. And on Wednesday, they were feeling good. You'll recall later on in the week, Michael Chandler did a sit-down interview with the Pivot. Now he's talking about the bullet that has been dodged. He's feeling better about things. He's talking about the fight. You'll recall on the Louisville card last weekend, they're promoting it. There's a video package. Everyone's feeling good. Even at one point, Conor posts a picture of him on a like a doctor's table. You can tell. I thought at that point people would kind of see what was up. I was told that Hunter Campbell flew over to Dublin to check on him. I was told Heather Linden, who is the head of the PI, who's very well respected by all the fighters and camps and managers, she flew out as well to try to help. Everyone was trying to do everything in their power to salvage this, to do everything in their power to keep Conor on the card. He wanted to stay on the card. The UFC wanted him to stay on the card. Obviously, Chandler wanted him to stay on the card. Everyone wanted this to remain the same. And everyone was happy with the way it was being dealt, with the updates being shared, with the TLC. Like, no one, from what I'm hearing, it feels like they were slighted, feels like they were disrespected, feels like they weren't giving the attention that they deserve. They just did everything in their power. I know the fans wanted updates. No one was providing updates. And please, this is not me giving myself a pat on the back, but just picture a world where I'm not coming on this show or tweeting about updates. There was literally nothing, zero. And people are getting mad at me. They're being told that I'm being given bad info. They're telling you that. They're telling their audience that I'm being given bad info, that I'm being played. How could you know anything? Who do you know? And look, I get that. I get the fact that, there's a lot of new fans, some fans who weren't watching the sport when I was at ESPN or when I was hosting the show before, going to events. I get that. And I don't break news as much as I did before because I don't want to, because it's not fun. It is just an awful way to live your life. Now, when there's a big story like this, when it's a rebound just bouncing on the ground and no one's picking up the ball, all right, I'll come out of retirement, so to speak. When there's big stories, and this was the biggest story of the year so far, it's just the way I'm wired. I want to inform the public. I want to let people know what's up. What good are these relationships and contacts if you don't use them at some point? And these people know that I will never out them, that I will never disrespect them, that I will never betray their trust till the day I die. And so I was trying my best, and every time I would do it, people would be like, so basically you don't have no idea. So basically, you're making shit up. So basically, there's no update. And I'm like racking my brain. I'm like, what universe are we living here where these updates, which I thought were valuable, are just, being received as nothing in any event. Come Monday, still feeling good. But then Tuesday morning, I straight up hear that the fight is off. Now I start poking around and I'm told that a decision hasn't been made yet and they're still feeling things out. But at this point, it's like they're full on looking for a replacement. And like I said, there weren't a ton of options. And they went back to Pereira. And Pereira's like, I don't know. Again, Australia, the toes. So by the time I get to the show on Wednesday and I tell you that I don't think it's happening and that there's pessimism and that it's on, at one point I used life support. At one point I used limbo. Like that was the truth. It was not looking good. No one was feeling positive about this. The same positivity that was in the air a week ago was nowhere to be found. It's exactly what I said. Again, making shit up, speculating. And come Thursday morning, Wednesday night, I checked back in on Pereira and I was told still long shot. And I'm just racking my brain like, I don't know what they're going to do. Holloway can't do it. They didn't reach out to Oliveira. DDP's not doing it. Like I was dying to know what the rabbit in the hat was. They always kind of figure these things out. Canceling the event wasn't an option. They didn't want to cancel an International Fight Week event. And there's the Hall of Fame and there's the X Expo. Like they didn't want UFC X. They didn't want to do this. So they did everything in their power. I can't imagine what Hunter Campbell's life was like. And it was so interesting that UFC Fight Inc. doc series came out on Roku right before all this like really popped off, because I think that now he's starting to get the respect and attention and admiration that he deserves, because he's essentially the GM. If we're going to equate this, as I said on the show maybe a year or two ago, if we're going to equate this to a sports team, he's the guy making the deal. He's the guy, he's the head of fight operations, if you will. He's the guy who has to be on the front lines and then report back to the bosses, namely Dana, like this is what's going on. It used to be Dana in the mix there. Joe Silva as well. There's kind of a hierarchy. Like in terms of like the really, really big fights, it's Hunter. Dana very rarely gets involved in that stuff. And then the lower fights, it's Mick and Sean. And they'll do big fights too, but like you saw him with John Jones, this particular fight, like it's all him. And everyone that I talk to say they love working with him. He's not emotional. He's not disrespectful. Are there moments where it gets tense in negotiations? Sure. But everyone seems to really enjoy it. And so by Wednesday night of last week, I heard that like still nothing. And I'm like, what? How is this going to play out? By Thursday, though, I'm told Pereira's in. And Yuri was in the whole time. I'm told Pereira's in. Holy smokes. But again, as is the case these days, please don't report it. It's off the record. So I got to keep this in my back pocket because to me, ultimately, like the relationships mean more. Having the guys on the show, doing this show, like this is my baby. This is my bread and butter. The breaking something is cool and all, but if they don't, this is not Woj in the NBA. This is not Schefter in football. It doesn't work that way. The big bosses say, let us break it ourselves. Now, I would argue that they don't do a great job of breaking this news. It's a 2-minute video, and like I don't understand what the big deal is. But alas, I digress. The funny thing is about the 199 thing, like how many times have they made video announcements like that before? Didn't know that was going to happen, and how many times have they done it since? But they say these guys are getting paid. There's not a moment where I even like argue or try to get it. No, I totally understand. Like to me, having the relationships, getting the guys on the show, that's more important. And you could call that whatever you want, but that's more important to me. This is how I make a living, doing this, not putting stuff out on Twitter. But I tried in the process to let you all know everything that was happening and let you all know everything that I could tell you about. And so by Thursday morning, I hear that he's in. All right, now I'm wondering like at what point they're going to break this. I also hear in the midst of all of this that Jamal Hill is out. Knee injury. Oh my gosh. So I hear that Anthony Smith, who by the way raised his hand to fight Alex on short notice, gets booked for the Ulberg fight. And then I hear that Ulberg is considering waiting for Hill. But then I hear that Hill's going to be out for quite a bit. And so Ulberg takes the fight. So that co-main event went from Khalil Roundtree against Jamal Hill to Ulberg Hill to now Ulberg Smith. And then I find out that's no longer the co-main event. And they've just booked Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez in a great fight, in a very fun fight, out of the blue. They just added a little muscle to the card. And in the midst of all of this, stories are now coming out that Khamzat Chimaev, who we end up finding out is violently ill, is out of the Saudi Arabia debut on June 22nd, this weekend. And they booked Ikram Aliskerov, who was supposed to fight this past weekend at the Apex. He's been now pulled from the card and moved to next week against Robert Whittaker. Whittaker's saying now that he had no idea who he was. The likes of Bo Nickel saying, I was in the mountains. I got a call about it. It was too late by the time I responded. Wouldn't that have been something? Robert Whittaker against Bo Nickel, but it's Aliskerov. So could you imagine what their week was like at that point? So at this juncture, I know that the Pereira fight is on. I know that Smith and Ulberg is on. I put out Ortega Lopez and the Aliskerov fight reported by an Australian journalist named Benny P is already out there. So things are moving. In the middle of the day, my kids are off and I go to our like municipal pool, like a local pool. They're over there hanging out with their friends. So I walk over there. It's like a mile from our house, hang out, but I'm constantly checking my phone because I want to know, when the tweet is out. In fact, I've enlisted the help of New York Rick to let me know when the tweet is out because, as you all know, I'm blocked on Twitter by Dana. So it's now around 2:30 and I'm saying, all right, let me get my assets ready here. Let me get my info ready. So I'm on my way back to my house. I film a video saying, all right, you just found out the news, blah, blah, blah. And I put it all out there in a 3-minute video, but I kept that in my back pocket. I wasn't trying to do the subtle flex thing. I didn't know if it was coming out at 4, at 5, or at around 10:50 local time, which is when, meaning 10:50 Eastern, 7:50 in Vegas, which is when the news came out. It's pitch black and people were like, wait a second, it's light outside. That wasn't me trying to say like, hey, I knew all along, but I just wanted to have some more information that was better served in a Twitter video than in a tweet. Type that all up. And so at around 10:50, they announced that Conor McGregor is officially out, that he is injured, that the fight isn't happening on June 29th, that it's now going to be Alex Pereira against Yuri Prochazka 2, that it's going to be Brian Ortega against Diego Lopez, that it's going to be Anthony Smith against Carlos Ulberg. And there's a new 303 card. And I have to say, I think they did a phenomenal job. They made chicken salad out of chicken shit. They really did. And yes, nothing will compare to a Conor McGregor event. The theater, the drama, the hoopla, the buzz, the hype, nothing will compare to it. Nothing can compare to it. There's nothing in combat sports, not just MMA, not just the UFC that compares to it. But Alex Pereira, supremely popular. Yuri Prochazka, beloved. You add Lopez and Ortega out of the blue. The Ulberg Smith fight is a fun one. Smith on short notice. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. And so I think that they did a great job under the circumstances. And what I was told was, now the official injury hasn't come out, but I was told that it is not supremely serious. And they are hoping that they can rebook this for August or September, latest. The problem is there aren't a lot of pay-per-view slots. Not going to fight in Manchester in July. Not going to fight in Perth in August. They don't want it on the Sphere, which I think should be the move and kind of should have always been the move in many respects. Like 300 in the Sphere would have been amazing, but alas. They already have some title fights booked for that, and they just don't want it. And then you got Utah in early October. Then you've got Abu Dhabi, although that hasn't been officially announced yet. And then it's MSG and John Jones. So there has been some talk of creating a new pay-per-view date. But as of right now, let me just check here. Nothing. They're kind of going back and forth, bandying about, and there is no date. So we don't know. We don't know. That's still very much up in the air. And so I think that all things considered, they did a great job. I think in a perfect world, they would have announced all the 303 news with a new date for Conor. But that's a harder thing to lock down. There's a lot more at play. Chandler's going to wait, at least for now. And I asked Chandler his thoughts, by the way. I asked him to come on the show today. And this is what he said on the record. He said, not right now. But he said, I'm living the dream. I eat adversity for breakfast and patience for dessert. What a line. Put that on a shirt. So Chandler is holding serve. And now here we are in a new 303 landscape. A lot of excitement. Pereira's putting out stuff. Yuri's in the freaking lake, getting ready to go. He's at the airport today drinking a beer. Looks to be in phenomenal shape. Great video emerges of Alex officially agreeing to the fight via his YouTube channel. We have the video right here. This is a beautiful moment between him and his team. Take a look at this.
Só quem tá me ligando. Ô, peraí, rapidinho, vou atender. Você é foda, hein? Hã? Chama ou não chama? Não, beleza, fechou. Let's go. Porra, como que não vai ficar feliz, velho, com a notícia dessa? Você dá risada, né, bicho? Você dá risada, né? Pô, isso aí, vamos lá, velho. Porra, joia, valeu, obrigado, velho. Tamo junto. Beleza, vai me falando. Não, a gente tá, tá trampando pra caramba aqui. Mas tô treinando também, pô. Você vê aí como, tá acompanhando não, pô? Beleza. Chama, valeu.
O que deu?
Las Vegas.
O que aconteceu? Que foi?
Vou entrar no lugar do McGregor.
Rapaz.
Mano, tá zoando.
Sério, pô?
Tá de brinca.
É sério?
Vai meter a porrada. Vai meter a porrada. Aqui.
Let's fucking go.
Aqui.
Let's fucking go.
Tem situação que tem que olhar a planta do banco. Nessa a gente vai montar no carro e vamos roubar essa porra. Vambora. Sobe no...
I freaking love the relationship between Plinio and Alex. I love how excited they were. I love the Shama. I just, how can you not love this guy? And how can you not love Yuri? Both of them together are magic. First fight was great. Arguably a bit of a quick stoppage. I don't know. Who knows? It's going to be great. This dude accepted a fight in Australia. They flew back on Saturday. And they're going to go to Vegas in a few days. Yuri's getting ready for a title fight. Another crack at the belt in August. Takes this fight. It's a beautiful thing. This is why these guys are beloved. And so now we have a new main event, and everyone's very excited about it. And so let me be very clear here. When all of this came out, I'm not happy about this. I think the UFC did a great job, but we all wanted to see the Conor fight. We've been waiting 3 years for him to come back. I think everyone feels for Michael Chandler. I think everyone, feels that, he has earned this and that he deserves this, and he has been very patient. And I feel like, it was going to be a great scene, a great fight, and it's the biggest gate in UFC history and all that stuff and more. By the way, I say the UFC hit a home run. Can I be critical for just a quick second here? It's been a lot of positivity, and we do that because it's fair and because it's the right thing to say, because it's, to me, the stance that applies most to how they handled this. But I do wish there was some info given to the people. I'm getting asked, like, how do you refund? What's the status? What's the procedure? Like, I don't know. Fuck it. This is not my domain. I do wish that there was some sort of language put out there for people who do want to consider it, because there's a lot of people flying in. People are writing to me from Turkey. They're saying, "Oh, we're meeting up with friends." It's not like, this is not what. What do you want? What do you want from me? I don't know how to do this stuff. Reach out to Ticketmaster. Like, I feel for the fans. I really, really do. It's really expensive. People have been looking forward to this since he announced it December 31st, and shit happens. Injuries happen. Bad luck happens. It's all very crummy. But I do think they made, chicken salad out of chicken shit. So when this comes out, I would be lying if I didn't say I did feel somewhat vindicated, because I was baffled by the reaction over the last 10 days to my reports. And I chalk it up mainly to newer fans, but I also chalk it up to a degree to people out there just trying to be dicks, just trying to stir the pot, just trying to discredit us, really mainly jealousy, and people falling for it like sheep. Hopefully now they realize who's who. Hopefully now they realize who knows what, and that's all a thing of the past. I'm not naive enough to think that, like, being in this spot, shit isn't going to be thrown your way. but I did feel some level of vindication because by the time the announcement came, I said, it's a formality. You know, it's never 1,000% until they break it. But I told you they had a new main event, they had a new co-main event, blah, 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 blah. And so I expect people to doubt, people to criticize, people to throw stones, people to make up shit. I expect that from trolls. I expect that from Twitter people. I expect that from people who, you know, make YouTube videos in their basement, who haven't taken a shower in a week, who know no one in the sport, who just make up shit for clicks and all that stuff. I expect that. That's the type of stuff that gets by. I expect that. You can get some views off of that stance. I don't expect that, and I don't appreciate it from people who are actually in the know, from people who I have known for quite some time, from people like Michael Bisping. I don't expect that from people like Michael Bisping because he should know better. And I have had to sit here for a year and listen and get sent clips and get sent tweets, get sent questions about Michael Bisping taking shots at me, sometimes subtle, sometimes not so subtle, but like really mean-spirited shit. Digs, slights, things like that. And every time I'm reading on the nose, almost every single week, I'm getting questions. Why is Bisping taking shots at you? I thought you guys were friends. Why is he taking digs? And I usually always skip through them. I don't know if I've ever, maybe at one time, I think I said one thing to Smith kind of in passing, but I've skipped through them because I have a ton of respect for Michael Bisping, the fighter. I considered him a friend for many, many years. A lot of those guys who worked on Fox, I enjoyed working with, and I felt like we had a camaraderie, and I felt like we had a kinship. And when he first started doing TV, I tried as best as I could to offer any type of advice and help him out. And felt like we always kind of looked out for each other. We talk about each other's families and whatnot. And, you know, you're sitting up there, you're watching fights, you're bonding. And so I didn't understand where all this was coming from. But it's like digs, it's slights, it's little pot shots. I don't want to get into it. It's not like some of my other things with other people. Like I really consider Michael Bisping a friend, honestly. And have too much respect and admiration for his Hall of Fame career, for everything that he's built, everything that he's done in his illustrious career. And I've known him for almost 12 years now. Excuse me, more than that. What am I talking about? 12 years, 20 years. 2006, I went to the Tough 3 finale. Way more than that. Closer to like 15, 16 years. But then I saw him talk about me on, I think, Wednesday or Thursday on his show, and this really pissed me off. This really pissed me off because I felt like he was taking this way too seriously, way too personally, and he had such vitriol, such venom, such anger, talking about something that has nothing to do with him, doesn't pertain to him at all. It's not a story about him. It has absolutely nothing to do with him. And he's going on his show, A, lying about me, and B, speaking about me with such freaking anger. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Someone alerted me about this. Like, you got to check this out. And I saw it and I was like, what the fuck, man? Where's this coming from? Now you could say like, oh, should you have texted him and said, what the fuck? Yeah, maybe. Could have texted me too. The thing is, Bisping and I haven't texted since June of 2022. I checked. That's not a friend. We're not that close anymore. I don't know why. But anyway, in case you missed it, here's Michael Bisping talking about me on his podcast before all the news broke. And you tell me if he's joking or not.
Ariel Helwani's out there, right? And he's posting and he's tweeting. A lot of the time he's posting and tweeting like he's an expert on everything, but he knows nothing. He's putting feelers out there. If I hear of a situation, I'm not doing investigative journalism, trying to find out, like my life depends on it, and I will risk everything so I can be the one to break it, you know, because who gives a and it's none of your business.
The same way I would never tell Michael Bisping how to throw a left hook, same way I don't want to hear from him on what it means to be a journalist. Everything he said there was asinine, ridiculous. He has no idea what it means to be a journalist. Feelers to try to be in the know. I never claimed to be an expert, but you know what a journalist does? He reaches out to sources to get information to then report back to all of you. Risk everything? Is that a shot about 199? No, I'm trying to inform the public. In fact, I was the only one who was trying to inform the public. Of course you're not an investigative journalist. No one would ever confuse you with such. And that's why I called him Bootlicker Bisping, because I've been tired of the past year of him taking pot shots at me only to curry favor with Dana White. Never talked about him, never taken shots at him, have promoted his projects like his movie, like his book. Every time Smith comes on, I talk about the pod. But at the end of the day, he's a bootlicker. Just like Ali Abdelaziz is a bootlicker, just like many others in this game are bootlickers. They're trying to curry favor. Now, there are others who are in the UFC's good graces who don't feel the need to take shots at me just so that Dana White could see a video and be like, you got him good. DC, Chael, these guys were friends. That's what friends do. You don't pick a side and take shots at the other guy just so that you could be in better standing with the one who's lining your pockets with slap fighting gigs. And you have the audacity to talk about me and the way I do business and the way that I do my work, and I've never been wrong, and you're calling it to question my work. And so here are the facts. Number one, I was right. I was right about everything that I said. And I was right about everything that I said because I'm a good journalist who reached out to people and was told information. Not because I came out there and said, let me tell you how it is, friends. No. So the feelers that you're talking about is me practicing journalism. I know you know nothing about it very clearly, but you know me well enough to know how I do business. And I would actually go as far as to say that no fighter in MMA has benefited more from my desire to be in the know and to report back to you, from my quest to be the best journalist that I could be. No fighter on the planet has benefited more than Michael Bisping. Quick story for the new fans or a quick refresher for the old fans. May of 2016, Chris Weidman tells me that he's hurt. Chris Weidman tells me that he's injured his neck, that he's not going to fight at UFC 199. June of 2016 in Inglewood. I catch wind that they're going to try to book Jacare versus Rockhold. They had a bit of a history, Jacare versus Rockhold. Now, I know that Michael Bisping is reaching the end of his career. He's on a bit of a run, and the dream is to become a champion. I reach out to him. He's filming a movie in Toronto. I say, look, this is what's going to happen. It's not the first time that I've done this, but I don't do it often. You should throw your name in the hat. You should reach out to the UFC. This is something that no one knows about. He's out, and they're trying to do the Jacare fight. Throw your name out there. See what happens. Maybe you get a fight. Short notice, shock the world. 2 weeks later, you're the champ. I'm filming a movie, this and that. By the way, don't take my word for it. It's in his book. It's in his documentary. Now, if I didn't know all this information, if I didn't call around and find out about Weidman and Jacare and all this, if I didn't try to be an investigative journalist, I wouldn't have known any of this. And also, if I wasn't a good friend, I wouldn't have called him. But I wanted the best for him because we've been on a journey with him, and I thought he deserved it. And so I reached out to him to tell him this information. He throws his name in the hat. He finds out via SportsCenter when Dana White announced it that he's in. He calls me to see if it's actually true. It's all in his book. Go read it. The book that I promoted, the book that I had him on to promote, the book that I read. Him and Aunt Devins did a great job with it. Where's that relationship? So you benefited from my desire to be in the know, from my desire to be a good journalist. You benefited from it because then, of course, you got the fight, you got the win, and your life was changed forever. You did all that. But to then sit here and talk shit about me and say that I'm willing to risk it all, it's not risking it all. In what other world, in what other universe, in what other sport are journalists treated this way? Acting like I'm speculating, acting like I'm making shit up. No, I was right. And you never even apologized. And I don't want your apology. Your apology means absolutely nothing to me. But then you go on your show after the news comes out, after you've been bombarded, after you probably don't like that people are calling you bootlicker Bisping, or maybe now I should call you backtracking Bisping, or maybe the best title of them all is backstabbing Bisping, because that's what you've done. Anyway, this is how he addresses it.
And just real quick off the top, I just got sent a video of Ariel Helwani going on a rant, calling me bootlicker Bisping and all the rest of it. Jesus Christ, Ariel. Jesus, buddy. Relax. We're having a laugh. We're taking the piss. My God. He says, oh, we've known each other for a long time. We have. I thought you could take a little bit of banter, Ariel. Bloody relax. My God. Bootlicker Bisping. I'll have that slap fighting gig. I've got the slap fighting gig.
Yeah, how?
I'm a commentator in the sport, okay? My God. I can't remember all what he said. I was watching it, laughing my head off. Jesus Christ, Ariel, you're good at what you do, buddy. All right, relax. Jesus Christ. Anytime you insert yourself into the conversation, you become a part of the conversation. So therefore, we're gonna have a laugh. We're gonna take the piss, which is what we do on this show. Okay, we don't sit here and cry into our microphones. We insult people.
Here come the subtle
shots.
shots.
The world about the 14 trophies. Anyway, Ariel, all the best.
All the best.
Go, buddy.
All the best, buddy. The weakest shit ever. You get called out. I finally respond a year after pot shots, and this is what you say. Weak ass shit. We insert myself into the story. No, again, you don't understand. Journalists report on things. I don't give a shit if it's via Ariel Helwani or via the MMA Hour. I'm trying to inform this audience. I'm not inserting myself. I'm not making it about myself. I'm trying to report, just like every other journalist on the planet does. And you and that other guy who I've never seen before, I have no idea who that is, are talking about me being in the speculation business. No, it's the journalism fucking business. Look it up. Google that shit. And yes, I bring up the 14 because people like you and people like Shaw back in the day and people like Patty back in the day try to discredit me. But we're still batting 1,000 and we're still freaking here. And so, yeah, I don't appreciate that. And the rant that he's talking about, compare me talking about it on the Ringer MMA show or me talking about it today on this show to the way he was in that clip that I showed you where he's convulsing. His eye is twitching. He's convulsing. He's risking everything, taking it so seriously. Golly. What are you taking it so seriously about? Parroting the words of Dana White, willing to risk everything. Stay out of it. Mind your business. It's quite literally my business to report on this shit. And you know what else? You guys take the stuff from our show, you take the clips from our show, you take the talking points from our show, you take the interviews from our show, and you use it to create your own freaking headlines. Or when someone like Jamal Hill or Joaquin Buckley comes on my show to try to create a beef with me, you can't book him fast enough. I don't know what you guys would talk about 50% of the time if it wasn't for the stuff on this show. So do me a favor. If we're hacks, if we're losers, if we're speculators, if we're fake experts, stop talking about us. Stop taking our footage, stop taking our content, stop taking our talking points, our stories, all that stuff. Don't talk about us. You talk about us a hell of a lot more than we talk about you. And again, I'm not trying to get into a thing with all of you, but enough is enough. Enough is enough with the pot shots. Enough is enough with the fake ass shit. You know exactly what my job is, and you know that I do it very well. So just don't talk about me. If you can't give me credit because you're afraid that Daddy Dana is going to take the slap fighting gigs away or the Apex gigs away, just don't say anything. Don't talk about me. And I thought maybe he'd come out there and be like, you know what? I got this one wrong. You know what? Fair play, Ariel. Fair play. I remembered who you were. He comes out and be like, buddy, I was just having a piss. I was just taking the laugh. Whatever the fuck it is. Having a laugh, taking the piss. Whatever the fuck he was saying. Oh, yeah, of course. Of course you were. Yeah, that's exactly how friends treat each other. Friends who haven't talked to each other in 2 years. Weak ass shit, and everyone called you out for it, and you didn't like that there were comments flooding your page saying apologize to Ariel, so this is how you address it. Weak ass shit. And I'm tired of it. So just stop talking about me. And remember, if you will, 2016, and remember who called you, and remember who told you about all of that. Remember that when you're out there trying to discredit me. Weak ass shit to come on and say, I was just having a laugh. That's the weakest shit possible. So anyway, to everyone who doubted us, to everyone who said we didn't get the story right or didn't know what we were talking about or were being fed false info, you know, we got 2 words for you. And for everyone who believed and everyone who had our back since day one, we say, thank you. Undefeated, undisputed, number 1, en route to 15. And I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say about all that. Did I miss anything, Rick?
I think you covered that.
Thank you. Rick, are you Are you the guy in that clip to Bisping to me?
I suppose I am. I can't say I'm a frequent watcher. I don't know who that gentleman is, but I suppose right now, especially when Andy had that 2-box up, that I am the equivalent.
No, you're
so
not.
Here I am.
No, you're not. You've been around. You've been around the block.
I feel like,
and you wouldn't dare disrespect the legend.
No. I know better than that. How do you feel?
I feel great. I mean, I feel happy that we can all move on from this situation. I feel like the UFC did a great job. I feel like they really did pull something out of their back pocket. I think they did a phenomenal job of putting together a fight on 2 weeks' notice when it seemed insurmountable to be able to get this done. Let's be honest. Alex Pereira has 2 broken toes, one that he suffered in the fight against Jamal Hill, one that he suffered before, and he's in Australia, and somehow they got him to take this fight. It's unbelievable.
I agree with you. I think they did a very good job at replacing the irreplaceable.
And then you got Yuri. Like, both these guys are cult-like figures. You know what I mean? Both these guys are beloved to the point where I just feel like nothing will compare to a Conor fight. But I don't, other than a fight that involves Max Holloway because he's so hot right now after what he did at 300. I don't know if anything would have been as well received. Of course, there's going to be people who are upset and disappointed, all that, but I don't know if anything could be as well received as this particular fight.
I've seen a lot of people saying that certainly while the stakes, right, the circumstance, the attention is lowered, objectively as a fight, I think people are more excited about this fight. And so that's the best you can hope for, especially given the difficulties and the circumstances that they were up against with how many people are booked and how many people are on the shelf. And already kind of accounted for. They did a damn good job.
And then what's brilliant about it is, in my opinion, you book the fight and then you add the little cherry on top, Brian Ortega, Diego Lopez, out of nowhere, right? Like, that fight wasn't on the card. Out of nowhere, no one's talking about it. Shout out to Ortega, who's like 3, I think, and Lopez is like 14. Adds to the aura of Lopez. Can't see any scenario where this is a bad fight. You keep Ulberg on there after his great win. Smith trying to go for one last run. Like, man, 303, there's been a lot of international fight weeks that have been way worse than this one, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
A hell of a lot. Like, there's really nothing that you can say, in my opinion. And so let's see if they're able to get Conor back in there. Let's see if they're able to book this in August or September. Still no word just yet. And by the way, the biggest story of all, which I didn't address, was the rebooking of Floyd Mayweather versus John Gotti III. Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.